Hello and welcome to another edition of Sepalika Easy Health Talk. This is a show where we interview experts in the field of health so they can share some of their valuable experiences in the form of tips or health tips that each of us can very easily implement to improve the health of our life and that sort of improve our own health as well as the health of our family. Today, my topic is something that's very close to my heart, and that's on women's health and specifically on period pain. Now, period pain is probably something that almost each one of us has gone through at some point in time or the other. And if you look at Ayurveda, Ayurveda's wisdom of more than thousands of years has some incredible insight to offer on why period pain happens and what we can do to address it very naturally. So to address this particular question, I have with me Preeti Sukumaran. Preeti Sukumaran is the founder of a consumer products, Ayurvedic consumer products company called Kriya. And her knowledge on Ayurveda is incredible. I mean, each time I've had a conversation with her, I've come out so enlightened. Welcome, Preeti, and thank you for being here on this talk with us.
Thanks so much, Shraddha.
Preeti and I both share a common love and passion for women's health. So I'll get to the point straight away, Preeti. Before we get to period pain, I thought I'll ask you, what is Ayurveda's take on menstrual cycle? Because, you know, the 28-day cycle of a woman's, menstrual cycle seems to coincide with that of the lunar movement of same 28 days. So is there some kind of connection between that and, between the two of them?
That's an interesting question, Shraddha, and it has a lot of little hints which we see in the text, about the correlation between the lunar cycle and the Rajasva Kala or the menstrual period. In fact, the menstrual period itself is called it's referred to as one Chandramas. So the entire cycle of menstruation, ovulation, and post-ovulation itself is equivalent to one lunar cycle. So the reference is one Chandramas. So there itself we understand that it is being pegged back to the phases of the moon. We also have certain hints about when it is ideal for the menstrual cycle to start in the lunar phase and when is it ideal for ovulation to occur, etc. So there is a lot of correlation, and I think that the ancient seers understood that not the lunar phase as well as where the moon is in the cycle has a great influence on the woman's reproductive health.
Right. Amazing. No? I mean, this is something just like, I often, we know that they discovered diabetes and what it was all about then. It's just fascinating. So if we come to specifically to period pain, so now one of the things that, we all know, and most of us who know a little bit about Ayurveda, that, Ayurveda always talks about doshas and saying that anytime any of us fall ill, there's an imbalance in the doshas. So I was asking whether, is there a connection that you can link doshas or an imbalance of it to period pain, or is there some other explanation Ayurveda has for why women experience period pain?
Right. So one is this, that Rajasva Kala or the menstrual period is considered the beginning of the fertility cycle. So it's taken very, very seriously in Ayurveda. And they've actually given what an ideal period should look like. And there are also a description of what they call Shuddha Artava Lakshanas, which is what is menstrual blood, which is completely in balance, what should it look like, and what should the experience of periods when the menstrual blood is unvitiated by doshas should be. So actually what they say is this, that when you have easy periods with no pain, and with no burning, no pricking sensation, and the menstrual blood is of a particular color, particular odor, etc., then we are completely in balance. So actually any form of discomfort, pain, etc., is considered a sign of imbalance as per Ayurveda. So what they say is that ideally you should have very mild to zero discomfort during period pain. Of course, they have understood that during the process of menstruation, there is a natural aggravation of certain doshas in the body. So you will have mild symptoms, which they say can be balanced by the regimen and the diet that you're supposed to follow during menstruation. Right. But it should never be of a very high order discomfort or of a order where you're unable to function. So that itself means that we are in a state of imbalance, which is reflected during the period.
Correct. In fact, when I was reading up on the net, I find that it's only a few Ayurvedic sites which say that these kind of not just period pain, but menstrual abnormality is not normal. What we women think is the pain that it seems to be normal and it happens to every one of us is actually not normal at all. And you should have minimal discomfort. And I find that only Ayurveda says it. And most of us,
Right.
unfortunately, are governed by a very Western view that period equal to discomfort and it's normal. Just like when the work that we've done, we find a lot of women think it's okay to miss a period. Very often, unfortunately, this is what they're told by their parents or by their cousins or aunts, saying that that's what happens to most girls, when it is actually not okay to miss periods.
Correct. Now, in fact, what Ayurveda says about menstruation is that it is a natural process of cleansing that is an opportunity for the woman. So, along with sloughing off unutilized tissue and removing the menstrual blood from the body, it also helps remove mildly imbalanced pitta dosha from the blood. So, actually, if we were in a good state of balance, it is a great opportunity for a cleanse. And also by the regimen and the diet that they have suggested, which is taking it easy, taking a lot of rest, eating specific kinds of food, it sort of re-energizes us for the next phase of of the cycle. So once we are through with the 4 days or the 5 days, it is actually an opportunity for us to come back better. So instead of it being a pain and something that you have to go through and something that you have to endure, it could actually be seen as a cleansing process which we get every month,
Right.
which we could actually use.
Right. Which sort of takes me to my next question that I want to ask you. What is it that we are doing wrong as women, or more probably, let's say, in today's modern lifestyle, that's leading to period pain? And if you can give us, if you can give our listeners and our viewers about, a couple of pointers or tips that they can use, something that's very easy, they can do at home to ensure that they're able to control or manage the period pain.
Right. So, a few differences in the way Ayurveda sees the process of menstruation. What they say is that menstrual blood is collected in the uterine cavity and in both arms through the month. And when the body realizes that there is no ovulation, it starts to empty this blood. So this blood which comes out, during the menstrual is called Artava. Now, what they're saying is this: in order for the body to eject this blood and to slough off the tissue which is unutilized, there has to be a slight aggravation in Vata dosha and Pitta dosha naturally in the body. So already during menstruation, by the forces of nature and by the act of menstruation, we are in a state of mild imbalance. Okay, so when when Vata dosha is slightly aggravated, what happens is that it utilizes a sub dosha of Vata dosha called Apana Vata. Apana Vata is the subdosha of Vata, which helps the downward motion of blood and unutilized tissue out of the body. So the emphasis of the body in these 3 days or in these 5 days is to collect all the blood which is collected for the act of ovulation and conception and remove it so that fresh blood and fresh tissue can be formed. So what they say is that we should not disturb this downward motion of Apana Vayu by excessive focus on this bit. So for example, what they're saying is this, that eating food which further aggravates Vata, for example, fried food, colas, untimely food, refrigerated food is not okay during menstruation because it upsets the balance and it disturbs the body from doing the action of Apana Vayu. Second is this, that when Vayu is aggravated, then digestion, the power of the capacity of the body to digest food is slightly limited. So there is a very specific set of ahara routines that a menstruating woman should go through. So we are asked first to eat slightly lower than our normal capacity because we do not have the digestive strength during this time to eat our normal capacity. Second is we are asked to eat foods which are very warm, which are slightly liquidy, therefore they're easy to digest. And with ghee which is added, the ghee helps reinforce the digestive acids and also helps control aggravated pitta dosha, which could be imbalanced because of the flow of the menstrual blood. We are asked not to have foods which which are very Tikshna in nature. So, for example, alcohol, caffeine, chocolate are all Tikshna in nature. We are asked not to have food which is bloating or vata aggravating in nature. So, potatoes, fried food, cola, anything which is gassy, bubbly, dry, breads, biscuits, all of these things are not supposed to be had, tea, etc. We're not supposed to be having very sour, very spicy, or very salty food because all of these aggravate pitta dosha. So we will have a tendency to get more angry, rage, maybe cry, etc. So the ahara routine is supposed to be very well managed. It has to be warm food. It has to be freshly cooked. It has to be slightly less in capacity, and it should avoid aggravating pitta and vata. When we start following ahara routine itself, you will find a great difference in the way the period is occurring. The discomfort will be much lesser, and many of the tendencies that people have of having PMS syndromes, of feeling bloated, of having indigestion, diarrhea, etc., will be controlled.
Right, right. We need to, and you're saying it's not just in those 5 days, but even in general, through the month, it's advisable to follow, let's say, foods that's not refrigerated, less of processed foods. I understand.
Yes, of course. The more discomfort we get during our periods, the bigger sign of us being out of balance during the rest of the month, right? So
Right.
it does make sense to get that balance back. For example, one of the for people who get very severe cramping and bloating, one of the things that we suggest is to take care of vata imbalance before the period starts. So people have found that, for example, if they do abhyanga about 10 days before the period starts, there is a marked improvement in cramping because cramping occurs because of imbalanced or not improperly channeled vata dosha. Now, if you're going to be having an excessive salty, sour, and spicy foods, so some of the foods you mentioned, Shada, like curd, vinegar, Chinese food, lots of chaat, additives like Ajinomoto. These things actually tend to aggravate pitta. So when you have your periods, you will have anger management issues. There will be burning sensation. The menstrual blood could have foul smell, lot of clots, etc. So this is a sign that your pitta is imbalanced. And in fact, it's a great idea to use menstrual hygiene aids where you can actually see the blood that you get every month. So you can see for yourself how it looks. So, for example, the qualities of Shuddha Artava or clean menstrual blood, which is unvitiated, is the acharyas say that if it falls on cloth, it will not stain cloth.
Wow.
Okay, so in the earlier days when people would use cloth as a pad, one of the ways is rinse it and see is it staining. So if it's staining, then it's not Shuddha Artava. Second is they ask you to look at the color. So they've said, they've given 3 examples of the color. They've said Indragopa insect, that is a lac insect. They've said Gunja seed. Gunja is this Gundumani seed, which in Tamil. So it's a bright reddish color. So they've said that Artava has a reddish gold color. So a color of menstrual blood which is not looking like this means that something is vitiated. It should not have an odor. So if it has a strong odor of any sort, then it is vitiated. If it is too much, too little. So they've said actually every woman usually gets 4 Anjali. That is, Anjali is this, 1 Anjali is this. This is the amount of menstrual blood per cycle. So 4 Anjalis is the thing. So it should not be less than this or more than this. Also the consistency should not be sticky, it should not be slimy, it should not be watery, etc. So it's a great idea to actually examine the blood every month.
But fascinating, Preeti. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and all that Ayurveda has to offer. If Preeti runs Kriya, if you would like to look at the products that Kriya offers, and I know they're very authentic, and because Preeti and I had a huge discussion just last week, she's got me off my most favorite and popular Ayurvedic skincare brand because she told me how to read labels. So Kriya really does fascinating products. Their website is krya.in. And if you would like Sepalika to help you with any hormonal health issues, including PCOD menopause, do call or WhatsApp us on the phone number at the end of this video. Thank you so much, Preeti.
Thank you.